How's the market? The most common question that realtors get for June 2024, Wichita, Kansas. Please like, comment, subscribe, share all those fun things to help grow this channel, support local small business and our community of Wichita. So I'm going to get into two things, both the local stats and the national stats to help you paint the picture of how the market is and give you some insights and trends to what's going on real estate wise. And we'll just go ahead and jump into that. So first report we're going to go over is our local MLS report. So what we're seeing is number of units fell by 1% in May compared to the prior year. And then 7.9% increase in price from May of last year. So again, number of units is down by 1%, not a huge deal. Price increased by 7.9%. And all this is public data. This comes straight from our MLS. You know, it's June 11th at the same time that I'm recording this video. I'm making this. I think I'm releasing this June 13th though. So it just gives you an idea. We can only report on up to May because June is still going on. So obviously you can't report on June because it's not over yet. But we're looking at a price increase of 7.9% from the previous year. But then new builds, we are looking at a decrease of 23% in as far as units. And then we're seeing a price increase of 5.1%. The average home price, new home price is $388,000 here in Wichita. So gives you an idea of where things are at. 1.8 months supply of homes on market. I'll get into in a second. I'll show you the average days on market is 28. So when you're thinking it's going to fly off the market right away, that's not necessarily the case, but we've definitely been conditioned that for a long time. And honestly, that's a lot of agents and realtors' fault is for purporting that idea and putting that idea in people's head from the start. But I'm going to show you a few graphs locally to give you a sense of it all, but in a lot of ways, closed listings by month, this is the most important thing I look at, is what's the trend that's falling. You can see 2022 in red, 23 in green, and then 24 in blue. All in all, it's pretty much following the same trend it typically does, where it's slow to start for the first quarter, second and third quarter are the most busy, and then it kind of trails off into the holiday seasons of everything as far as number of closed listings going on. So this gives you proof people are still buying and selling houses regardless of market conditions, interest rates, all that, and it's usually because of life reasons. And obviously we want to navigate that market, the finances, everything else, but a lot of this comes down to more of a personal evaluation situation, which is the whole theme of this whole how's the market situation. We're going to look at the market, but more importantly, how's your personal market as far as your finances, your lifestyle. Are you getting married? Are you having kids? Are you not married? Are you not having kids? All of those personal life situations that go into effect with real estate, with all of this. So that gives you an idea of where closed listings are at, following the pretty normal bell trend with everything. The other cool thing to look at in these stats is how much things vary by price range. Because if you look at the 300,000 plus range, you can see there's 2.9, 3.7, 4.2 months of inventory. But when you get into the middle range from like 125 to 300, you know, you have significantly less and all the things that go with that. Same thing with days on market, depending on your price point. And averages are a way better thing to look at than median. Median is such a misleading stat. It bothers me that we even honestly report it. But as you can see, all of these are over double digits. The lowest one being 14 days on market. That's for 125 to 150. So that common notion of like, oh, I'll just list my house and it'll just fly off the market isn't necessarily the case when we're seeing it takes 2 weeks to sell these houses. And it's not necessarily that they're priced wrong and there's something wrong with them. I'm going to break this down in the national report to show you in a second. It's more so just that, you know, times are tough and people are tighter than ever. Rising cost of everything while people's incomes aren't rising to go with it. And I have a solution for all that. I'm not just going to whine and complain like most people do when it comes to the economy and real estate and everything else. I know the solution for it. The question is if you personally, individually are going to step up to do it. Which really what it comes down to is it's not that things are too expensive. It's just that you can't afford it. Usually the problem is that people don't make enough money to buy the things they want. The desire is there, but the ability is not. And that's usually because they just don't make enough money because they need more value, more skills, more experience, more effort in order to go get those things they want. We kind of got all fat and happy off of this free, easy, cheap money that we had for a while. And now we're kind of sobering up to that whole thing of saying like, well, we got to work more. We have to provide more value, more skills. And it's not just work harder. It's work better, work smarter, more efficient, more valuable. If you want these things like a bigger, better house, you got to do things appropriately to ultimately reflect the value and the skills you have and the effort. You got to go earn it. You got to go deserve it. And I think there's a lot of desire out there for nicer, newer, bigger houses, but they cost more and they're more expensive. And it's not that people aren't buying them, because you saw that people are buying them, but there's certain people that are doing what it takes to achieve more and to do that. And there's never been a better time in today's day and age that it's been more accessible, more possible with the opportunity availability to increase your skills, increase your value, increase your income, both in a job, in corporations, maybe a different job, and also through self-employment, non-traditional means of everything. So that's where we kind of open our minds and act and operate differently for this thing to work. So closed listings analysis gives you an idea of where home prices that are closing is rising from 2022 in red, 2023 in green, 2024 in blue. It is starting to normalize out though, and kind of flatline so far at 260, but it's not to say that anything is unhealthy. It's just that it's starting to level out for what's actually selling and what's actually closing. Because if you look at what closes, it's right around 260. But then if you go look at, so average days on market's 28, like we're discussing. Look at the average, don't look at the median. The median is very misleading. Every year over, 2022 is in red, 23 is in green, 24 is in blue. It is increasing as far as average days on market. So it's just taking longer to sell a house. So some of them fly off the market fast, but then other ones take a little bit longer to sell. Doesn't mean you're priced wrong. Doesn't mean your agent's doing something wrong. It just takes longer to get a home sale to go through, which is kind of back to normal traditional real estate of it can take a while to sell a house on everything. So if your agent's trying to just promise you they're going to sell you their house right away and it's going to fly off the market, like that's a big red flag. So number of listings is increasing, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's a problem. It's actually a good thing. And you're seeing active listings by month increase year over year, red, green, blue. But this is the interesting part. So the active listings, the average price is 360. So there's a lot of people who want more for their house, but not necessarily getting more for their house based on the averages. So you're seeing a lot of people list their house and put it out there, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's selling for more just because they have it listed for that. And that's where that looking at the sold data from your agent who has the knowledge, has the proof, not just hearsay, popular opinion, emotion, is the best thing to do, is base it off the data on everything. So still plenty of inventory, still a lot of things going on, but I think people are just pickier than ever. They're tired than ever with higher interest rates. So the right houses will fly off the market, but then other ones take longer with it all, or you just got to ride it out for that one right buyer looking to come through. But that's our local stats to give you an idea of that. Now let's go look at the national stats, because they do affect us here in Wichita also. It just doesn't affect us as hard, but it does still affect us. And so a lot of it comes down to buyers are saying like buy now or wait. And the answer to that question has to do with where are you at personally in your personal finances, personal life situation. And we've seen a lot of people picking the wait side of things because they're just waiting it out, writing it out, or they're just chilling in their house at a 3 or 4% interest rate. And, you know, we are seeing one of the most difficult affordability conditions in nearly 40 years. So I'm not going to deny that it's not tough, but when the tough get going, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And in every hardship, difficulty, crisis situation, there's an opportunity in there to go solve more problems, to go help more people, ultimately create more value, more skills, more effort. But a lot of it is the rising prices is still just simple supply and demand. Even with the higher interest rates, simple supply and demand, the desire and the want for a house is there. And those that are making more, increasing their income, their value, their skills, are buying those houses still with it all. So it's also a good amount of people using their equity in their current home or all cash making purchases where the interest rate doesn't affect them as much. And we have a good amount of cash still from COVID and just generational wealth, inheritances, all the things that go on with that. So that's why prices are still rising, simple supply and demand. Even though the cost of loans and the cost of financing is rising, we still have a ton of cash in this country. So that's the truth of it. So simple supply and demand, what every buyer needs to know about inventory, still increasing year over year. Not necessarily anything to cause alarm to worry about, but it just helps you understand where things are at. You kind of heard my spiel earlier about the simple truth of this equation is you just need to go make more money. And I know you're saying, oh, easier said than done, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So why are listings up year over year? A lock-in effect has to do with it. People sitting on their sub 4% mortgage rates. Yeah, additionally, some newbie investors who piled in the market during the boom are realizing that being a landlord isn't easy and it's not quite as passive as they thought. And so they'd rather just ditch their property. But sellers are slowly coming back to the market. We'll continue to gradually have more sellers. Kind of one of those situations where people realize that you can't wait it out forever. Life happens, situations happen. Both and large commercial investors are realizing this too, where you can't just wait forever. You got to move. You got to do something. We can't stagnate and stall the whole economy and your operations and all those things. So the waiting it out situation is just coming to an end where you're gonna have to be more selective on what you choose to move on. And 1 in 3 homes on the market today are new construction because inventory is not there. So that's a good thing for builders. Also, don't be fooled by going straight to the listing agent with new builds. You can still use a purchase agent, still get representation, and typically it doesn't cost you anything less. So, but yeah, the new home market's been a big piece of this because the inventory is not there. So people just go build a house. By the way, building a house is a 5 to 10 year decision, not necessarily a 3 to 5 year decision, like buying a retail house. But home ownership, the value is still there. But the problem is we're seeing a lot of misleading things from the headline saying it's the worst time to buy a house. Also, people trying to say they don't think they have to pay buyer's agents now because of the lawsuit and the commission settlements and all that stuff. I haven't said a whole lot on that yet because it still hasn't really settled or come out. I know there's been a ruling and a judgment, but I haven't said a whole lot thing yet because everything's still business as usual and they haven't really told us how to operate going forward. But my eyes, the only thing that's going to happen is it's going to eliminate a lot of the hack wannabe agents. You're going to get a lot more professional level services from agents than wannabes or people that got in the industry for the wrong reasons, which is to be lazy and make a bunch of money and not really do much work. So in a lot of ways, we're all happy for that. The consumer, good agents, everyone. So, but don't necessarily believe everything you read online when it comes to headlines, especially, and they're not necessarily credified experts. It's still a really good place to park your money is real estate. And that's the way I'm going to phrase it is park your money because there are other investments that could be better, but they're also riskier. Real estate's one of the best places to park your cash, park your money, grow your wealth, grow your equity. Plus there's a lot of things that go on with it that are non-financial, like the emotional value of home ownership. And you have to take into effect how much that increases your quality of life. Also how it affects your work performance, your life performance is having an established, stable place that, like it says here, brings emotional fulfillment rather than added stress. And that's honestly a ton of the value that a home brings that you don't necessarily get from renting or living in an apartment complex, is that a home is not just a physical place, it's an emotional place for you internally to really just rest and escape and get away from the world and be supported and loved and cared for. That's why home ownership is such a valuable thing in America and why we're willing to take on this debt, these finances, all these things, because life is more important than just money with it all. So that's something to take into account when it comes into your house and your lifestyle decisions. And especially when you have home warranties, newer houses, and then when we go evaluate the house, it's really like you don't have a lot of big major ticket items. So you don't really have any more concern or worry than living at a landlord with a landlord and renting, because ultimately they're still paying a mortgage. You're just paying his mortgage instead of your own. And even if you have something break, you still have to call him, just like you could call the home warranty company or a service man to come do it. It's really not a whole lot different with it all. It's just kind of the trap that it's easy to rent. And I know the cost temporarily short term is cheaper or lower cost renting, but it's 100% going to your landlord, not going to you at all. And if you look at your home as more of a forced savings plan, like what they see here for the long part, it's going towards yourself instead of all going towards your landlord on everything. Also, like you can potentially rent these out later. Like I'm getting ready to do this potentially to mine to rent it as a fully furnished 1 to 3 month rental, go buy another house at 3 to 5% down and kind of just wash, rinse, repeat every 3 to 5 years. So there's strategies that go in with this, that it's not just like live in the same house forever. There's some creative things around what you're willing and able to do, but also the freedom to customize, community involvement, especially like College Hill, where I'm wanting to move to. That's just things that you can't put a dollar value on that money can't buy. That's awesome just to be in those neighborhoods, walk around, see your friends, the lifestyle, all that goes with it. Then obviously all the other things that come on the financial side of it. So it's still a good idea to buy a house, as long as the biggest thing that comes down to, like it's saying here, is it the right time for you to buy a house? Is it the right personal situation for you? Is it the right financial situation for you? Are you emotionally able to, mentally able to, like, are you all in the right place to do this? It's still a good long-term play to do, not just from a financial standpoint, but also for your own personal well-being. that comes with it that does have a financial effect also. But that's usually why people are owning a home instead of renting. They want a sense of privacy and security, good place for family, place to raise kids, all those things that go into a house that are non-financial. But obviously we navigate the market and the financial side of it so that it can be a reflection of you. You can look at your quality of life, your lifestyle, all those things that go with it. Because I love my backyard. That's one thing that I like cannot trade in for the world, is the peace and tranquility that my backyard helps me to just check out, zone out, enjoy my life, like appreciate all this hard work I put in everything, makes it all worth doing. So anyway, hopefully that helps you understand the current real estate market of Wichita locally, but then also national trends, help you kind of make some choices, make some decisions, make some sense of all this whole thing. If you want to check out other Wichita real estate things, Wichita videos, all those things are on this channel. If you want to take a look around and then getting a hold of me, you can follow the links below. Sign up on the website, send me some messages, and we can get in touch from there. And we'll hopefully talk to you soon. See ya.